Okay. All right. All right. So you see that it's the fourth day of the week, right? We are in the eighth month. So boom, right there, it's the 23rd, the blue, right? Just showing you how to read that. 23rd day. See the color coded right there, the blue represents the second month, fifth month, eighth month, and 11th month. We in the eighth month, boom, 23rd day of the eighth month. I can just know that right off the back, just from knowing how to number the dates. Like I don't even gotta look at the Roman Greco no more. This is why this comes in handy. It's gonna take you out of the white man's world and put you in with nature. Anyway, well, this is a clock. I mean, this is I bought the clock, but the mathematical equation is mine. The clock I bought, it's a 7 day clock you buy online. You just put a battery in the back and it runs. But the mathematical equation is right here in the middle. I just put my mathematics on here to cover what this clock got going on. You dig what I'm saying? This is why it's got these pagan names on here. It's a regular, not a regular clock, but it's a 7 day clock. They sell those for like elderly people who retired, who be missing the days of the week. Okay, can you see this image? Okay, I'm gonna put it sideways so I can fit everything. We got a little glare right there. I'm gonna try to cover that. All right. So right now, as you see, we in the second portal. See the second portal? Okay. The sun is going this direction, and we entered into the second portal, right? When it hits the winter solstice in the first portal, going to be somewhere in this area, right? That's the 17th day of the ninth month. That's the winter solstice. It doesn't go any further this direction. That's the farthest it can go. That's the threshold it hits. And it starts coming back the other direction. But every day, you see, that's the sun right there. It rises every day from this direction and gradually keeps rising for 30 days in each portal, right? There's the sun right there. But this is not like for our time. Right now, the sun is over here in the second portal, but it's going this direction until it hits the winter solstice. Then it's going to start coming back. And we're going to hit the second portal again, then the third portal, and boom, right here where my finger is, that's the spring equinox, right? It's a spring equinox right here. And then boom, we got New Year's as it enters into the fourth portal. But it's still going this direction. So the second month, it hits right here. The second month is in the fifth portal. Then the third month is in the sixth portal. And then it hits the summer solstice. You dig? And it can't go no more. It can't go this direction anymore. It has to come back this way. Then it starts gradually going every day, until it hits the fifth month again in the fifth portal. And boom, here's the fall equinox. You see that where my finger is? That's the fall equinox. And then the next day it hits the fourth portal. Boom, that's the Feast of Trumpets. The seventh month. I'm sorry. That was wrong. Forget what I just said. Forget what I just said. My bad. So right here, the same equinox is going into the third portal. So the Feast of Trumpets is right here in the third portal, not in the fourth. So it hits the same equinox twice. I thought it hit an equinox here and the equinox here, but no, it's the same one twice. One time coming from this way, that's New Year's. The other time coming from this way, that's the Feast of Trumpets. You understand? Okay. Okay. So before the sun hits the fourth portal, we are in the 12th month right here. You see that? 12th month. The 12th month is in the third portal. It's rising every day for 30 days, or actually 31 in the 12th month. 31 days it's going to rise every day coming in this direction. So every day it rises. That's Enoch 72. 72. So it's rising in this direction. And this verse right here is describing the law. Let me read this. This is the first law of the luminary. The luminary is the sun, and it's rising in the eastern portals of heaven, right? Not, I'm sorry. This is the eastern portal of heaven. This is the direction of the eastern portals. Now, the western portals is the opposite me. That's where the sun sets, but it's rising from the eastern portals, right? Um, and it's setting in the western portals of the heaven. I saw six portals which the sun rises, six portals in which the sun sets. And the moon rises and sets in these portals. And leaders of the stars and those whom they lead, six in the east, six in the west, all following each other inaccurately. There goes corresponding order. Also, many windows to the right and to the left of these portals. First, there goes forth the great luminary named the sun, and its circumference is like the circumference of heaven, meaning it goes around above our heads in the heaven in a clockwise motion. That's the circumference of heaven, right? Sun goes over your head in clockwise motion. Uh, and its circumference is like the circumference of the heaven. And he is quite filled with illuminating, heating fire. The chariot on which he ascends, the sun goes up and down. That's another thing you got to know. The sun ascends and descends. It doesn't just go above your head in clockwise motion, it also goes high and low as well. And the closest to the earth is in the sixth portal. The furthest away from the earth in the sky is in the first portal. Okay. Now, where was I at? What she said, the wind drives. The wind is not air. See that? The wind drives. See how it says the wind drives the chariot? You see that? That's not talking about air and the wind that blows and hits your face. It's not talking about that wind. It's talking about the ether. The sun goes around the chariot that is being pulled by the ether. The scriptures call that uh, air. That's really where the word air came from. It came from the word ether. That's important. You got to know that. This is like electromagnetic frequency that pulls all the luminaries in the sky. But anyway, moving on. That's some deep shit. You got to get that in my book. The sun goes down from the heaven and returns through the north, right? In order to reach the east. So right there, right, this verse is talking about the four quarters of heaven. The first quarter is what we call Asia and Russia. The second quarter here is Middle East and Africa. The third quarter is South America. And the fourth quarter is North America. That's the end of the daily cycle. When the sun sets in North America, it rises in the eastern quarter. That's a new day. That's a full rotation. This is why our day starts in the evening and not in the morning, because the sun is over here. I mean, it's dark over here before the sun rises because the sun is already in Asia. That's the beginning of the day. Right. Okay. The proof is that it's coming from this direction and not this direction, because it hits this portal twice a year. Once in New Year's, you see the first month, the second in the 6th month. It hits it twice. Okay, all right. Let me. You're right. Let me say that in another way. Okay, so if you go outside and you clock in the sun every day, when the sun is coming from the winter portals, that's portal 3, 2, and 1. Those are winter portals, and it's going in this direction. When it hits the 4th portal and the equinox, that's New Year's. The next day is New Year's. You understand? I don't care if it's freaking December. I don't care if it's September. That is New Year's on the Enoch calendar. Now, this is the only calendar that has this, right? So when the sun hits the 4th portal coming from this direction, that's not New Year's. You understand? That's actually the 6th month. That's the hottest month in the Holy Land. That's what we call August around this time of the year, if that makes sense. Yeah. Well, okay. So what I'm talking about right now has nothing to do with the winter. It has nothing to do with the weather, right? And that's only assuming that the seasons and the weather that they told us is true. We're just assuming that the white man is infallible and that his culture is universal to all cultures. We're just assuming that. You understand what I'm saying? So we're assuming when the white man says it's spring, that's universal spring for the entire creation. So that's white supremacy by definition, right? And it doesn't work like that. Every nation had their own calendar, had their own stargazers, had their own cycles and memorials that they acknowledged through their calendral system. The word calendar in itself is a pagan deity. That's a deity, right, of their culture, right? Our calendar, I hate to continue to use that word calendar, but our calendar system was actually called by an angel called Adahiel. You understand? This is what we called our calendar. We called it Adahiel. You can read about that in Enoch. But anyway, um, when it comes to the weather in the Holy Land, it could be freezing cold in April, and that's like our 2nd month in the Enoch calendar. It'd be freezing cold at Passover. We'd be like late April, going into May. It'd be freezing. So, and it's more often than I'm actually paying attention to. I just don't be saying it, right? And then sometimes it'll be warm, like in November. Like it's gonna be 90 this whole week, right? And we're almost in November. We're almost to the winter solstice, right? So this thing is not about weather and it's not about summer and winter. This is about the luminary cycles above your head. The weather doesn't come from those luminary cycles. The weather comes from the angels. The angels have these chambers and they give you your weather through these same portals. Your weather comes through the portal. So this is why you might feel a cold wind coming from the north or a warm wind coming from the west, right? So, okay. Well, they control the weather. Remember, remember, Canada and Greenland and all that shit wasn't always in an ice age. It wasn't like that. And the Sahara Desert wasn't always a desert. That stuff is engineered because somebody wants their land to be more fruitful and have the greatest weather. You dig what I'm saying? The people who rule the world want their land and their area to have the best weather. So this is why places like Canada, Greenland, and all the other places are covered in ice, and places like the Sahara Desert is a complete desert, right? Because that stuff has been engineered. If you look at 1700s, if you look at 1700s maps, you'll see the Sahara Desert was not a desert. That thing was thriving jungle. You know, you'll see Antarctica having all types of green and all types of animals. You understand? So these people control weather. It's the reason why Jerusalem, the real Jerusalem, is a desolation and nothing is growing there. It's a reason for that. Not because it's climate is supposed to be. No, these things are engineered by the people who rule the world or the Most High. The Most High does it too. He changes the whole thing. He'll take away rain from a whole nation. You dig what I'm saying? So this stuff ain't got nothing to do with the calendar. You dig what I'm saying? But we're hung up on what these people gave us. They told us that the equinox is March 20th. And I don't know if y'all been paying attention, but it's been March 20th for the last 15 damn years. It's never changed. Does that make sense on a 365-day cycle? Does that make sense that the equinox is the same day every year on their calendar? If it does, then stick with that, because there's safety in following your Lord, if that's your Lord, you know. But if you want to understand this Enoch calendar, it's on a total different frequency. And there is no safety with the white man, by the way. There's no safety from him. You understand? There's no reward for him from him. If you step out of that safety zone that you think is safe and come into the heavens, this is the heavens and the earth we're talking about. We're not talking about Easter and cold weather. We're talking about the heavens, luminary cycles. These portals right here, they don't move, they don't change. At least in the last 12 years I've been watching, they haven't changed yet. You know what I'm saying? These portals are still the same. And to show you that, look at this verse, right? Look at this verse. This is 2 Enoch 13:2. It says, I saw 6 gates open, each gate having 61 stadia, and a quarter of one stadium. And I measured them truly and understood their size to be so much. That means all of these portals are the exact same size. You understand? So why does he call the fourth portal the great portal in chapter 72? Because they're all the same size. It's not the largest one. It's the great portal because it's the middle ground. It's the equator. It's parallel to the equator. The winter solstice is the farthest point of the Tropic of Capricorn, and the summer solstice is the furthest point on the Tropic of Cancer. Anyway, but I'm just breaking this down. Through which the sun goes forth and goes to the west and is made even and rises throughout all the months and turns back again from the 6 gates according to the succession of the seasons. Thus, the period, the whole year is finished after the return of the 4 seasons, right? So once it hits all these portals and doubles back again, boom, you at New Year's again. Or really, should I say, once it goes this way and comes back again, it's New Year's. When the sun's coming from this way, it's the 7th month when it hits that equinox. And when it comes from this way, it's New Year's. And this is right outside. I took this picture myself. This ain't no Google. I did all this research myself. I drew this map, put the scripture on here, clocked the sun for years. Years. You see this? Showing you this way is north and this way is south. You understand? Yeah. Right. Well, they don't just control the weather, they control your DNA. You understand? They control the food you eat, they control the air you breathe, they control the clothes you wearing. They control the language you speak. The language you speak determines what you think and how and when. You understand? We're not dealing with a people, we're dealing with heavenly beings that rule the world. You understand? I don't want to get off into my other I don't want to get off into my other doctrines, but let's just say some people survived from the first generation of Nephilim before the flood. Some Nephilim survived, and they're still alive. They're like 5,000 to 6,000 years old, and they still rule the world to this day. You understand? That's but this is how they can control the weather. We're dealing with angels, brother Yuan. You understand what I'm saying? We're not dealing with men. Men can't do that, but gods can. Gods can. You understand what I'm saying? I know. Forgive me. I don't mean to go into my crazy doctrine, but I'm giving you the real, bro. Right. Well, these same angels were righteous before they fell. They were in control of the weather. These are seraphims, right? When they fell to the earth, they used that same information, knowledge, and technology to rule the world. And because they've been ruling from the shadows, they've been able to boss up. They've been able to get their shit, get their money right, get ready, and really have everybody in a frenzy and be giving people a whole freaking programming you with a whole life and memory that you think is yours and it's really not. You know what I'm saying? So this thing about weather, if you look at the word weather, right? The word ether is right in the word weather. You understand? We don't have air. That's air is not something we have. This is what they told us. We have the ether. If you look at the word water, you also got the word ether in the word water. You understand? So this is I'm giving you a Hebraic perspective. They giving you their perspective. You understand what I'm saying? So we talking two different worlds. There is no air. There's only ether. And these powers, electromagnetic frequency that pulls the chariot over our heads in a clockwise motion. You understand? They can easily manipulate that. They're doing it every day with the chemtrails. The chemtrails ain't just about getting you sick and giving you viruses. No, brother. No, that's a lower level what it's doing. They are actually giving people like a fake sun. They putting like an artificial sun up there. You understand? I don't all the way know why or what's the purpose, but I can tell you this is what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Number one, number one, number one, yeah. Well, I don't have no artificial sun over here. That's going on in America. We don't have it over here. I got the real heavens above my head. Y'all don't have that in America in many places. You understand what I'm saying? There's many places in America where the real heavens is being covered by something. Many places. You know what I'm saying? And they this was their duty, their job when they was in the heavens. They had control of the weather in a righteous duty. But now they're here and they can't go back, and they're basically trapped here, and they're going to use all of that stuff to try to lure mankind to go with them because they know where they're going. They know where they're going. You know what I'm saying? But yes, they have the power to put like an artificial thing over your head. Your job, this is what your job is. When you see some shit up there that don't look right, it don't feel right, and it don't look right, you're supposed to pack your wife and your kids up and say, you know what? I'm not finna wait around to see what's going on. We finna move to a different location. And you got to get somewhere where you can see the heavens. Because many people, they see this shit. They send me videos and pictures all the time. They see what's going on over their head. And they just, like, oh well, these people crazy, and they just go on about their business. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, bro, they got all type of technology, man. He said, just like in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the return of the Messiah. Right? That means all of this was going on before the flood. This is why the Most High brought the flood to begin with. So we're not dealing with man's technology. We're dealing with a heavenly technology being used on the dark side. Because our weather comes from seraphims. The righteous angels in the sky who control the weather and all that. Those are seraphim, the righteous ones. Guess which 200 angels came upon Mount Hermon and had kids and did all that other crazy shit you read about? Those are also wicked seraphims. Those are wicked ones. I gotta run though, man. My phone get ready to die. We'll chop it up some more, brother. I hope that makes sense. All right. Peace and blessings, Doc. All right, righteousness shall prevail, bro.